of Theater of the Oppressed, their mantra is basically, Theater of the Oppressed is by, of, about, and for the oppressed, and it gives them a voice. So all of the different Theater of the Oppressed subgroups are connected by the tree of the Theater of the Oppressed. I'll use this as a sort of visual representation. And below the roots, which would be, let's see, about like down here, lie the values, which are multiplication, solidarity, politics, history, ethics, philosophy, and economy. And let's say the roots for around here. So the roots center on like what you use for Theater of the Oppressed. So image, sound, and word. And then the trunk of the tree of the Theater of the Oppressed has games, which are the activities and exercises that you use when you're involved in the Theater of the Oppressed. And the branches are divided into two segments. One is image theater, which that breaks off into newspaper theater and rainbow theater. And then on top of image theater is forum theater, which breaks into invisible theater, legislative theater, and direct action theater. So those are all the different parts of Theater of the Oppressed. And Theater of the Oppressed is all about involvement of the people. So I'm going to get the audience involved with a couple workshops. So I'm going to focus first on image theater, which uses the human body as a tool for presenting feelings, ideas, and relationships. So I need 2 volunteers from the audience. I'll choose you and you.
Yeah, go ahead and choose them.
Okay, I'll choose you. And anyone else? You. Okay. So,
Go boys.
all right. So I talked about how this image theater is used to express relationships, feelings, anything basically that you want. So I'm going to whisper something into my 2 lovely volunteers' ears, and I want them to use their bodies to sculpt a frame of what I said. And you guys will get to guess what they're representing. So you guys are not allowed to talk, and once you're in your image, you're not allowed to move, and then I'll hand it to the audience. So come here.
Do it.
Yeah, do it together. Make a picture. Are you guys good?
You can't move.
So does anyone want to take a guess what this is?
Oh, yeah.
Perfect! Okay, so very smart audience here, and we'll do...
Brilliant.
We're still good actors.
Okay.
Marriage.
Well, I have a really smart audience. Okay.
No, it's Atlanta. San Francisco.
What is this one? Here we go.
Indifference.
No.
Holding. Fury. Anger.
Yes, anger. All right, and then the last one might be a little challenging for you guys.
Are you going to do different ones later, or you?
Christopher Columbus. Accusing. Hunting.
Searching.
Ballroom disco.
Think about what this is. It's theater of the... Did she say racism?
Yes,
Okay, well, you guys are... So, what was effective... Thank you guys, you were wonderful. So, what was effective about their representation... Excuse me, girls. Come on, I need to ask some questions. Okay, so what was effective about... Guys, okay. So what was effective about the representation? Oh, you guys can sit down. What was effective? You guys... What was effective? Was it the way that they moved their bodies? They weren't saying anything. You guys still got everything, basically. So
It was the facial expression and the body movement.
okay, so the way that you can use every part of your body, including your face and including the muscles in your face. All right. Would you have done it any way different if you were in their position? Do you have any ideas? No. You did the same.
Good job.
Yeah, they did do a pretty good job. How did the image affect you? Like when you saw them do anger, when you saw them do love, or when you saw them do racism, what did you think? How did it affect you? Seeing it in front of you. In a picture.
I mean, it elicits some sort of emotional response, like especially with love. Like I don't know about you guys, but I was just like, "Aww,"
Yeah, exactly.
like adorable.
So that's also the point of this. Like we're eliciting an emotional response and putting ourselves in that place. So how do you think this method could be used to shed light on an issue in society? Yes.
can make the audience feel pretty uncomfortable. Just like there was that whole thing.
Right.
You know, it'd be kind of also cool to like maybe include like have like a set audience member that maybe like we could point at sort of like that and see how the audience like reacts.
Yeah, it's like really listening to response. Yeah.
Just making a point without like in like a quiet kind of non-verbal aggressive way, and it's like it could be used in peaceful protest.
And the audience, since they come to their own conclusions, they see that's going on. It's almost like satire. Okay, so the second part of Theater of the Oppressed I'm going to talk about is forum theater, which they say it works from rehearsal improvisation to create a sense of specific oppression. So basically you have two actors, and you have a protagonist, the one being oppressed, and an antagonist who is the oppressor. And some of you might have played this sort of improvisation game before, but I'll explain it to you how we do it in Theater of the Oppressed. Yeah. So once again, I need two members from the audience. Anyone? Be fun? Okay, go. Thank you for your enthusiasm. Okay, so
I mean, I know they were raising their hands a lot.
in this exercise, you guys, if you wanted to go and I didn't choose you, you will have the opportunity to be involved, hopefully, if you come up with something. So this is what I mean. The protagonist, which will be you, is facing a struggle, and he's being oppressed by the antagonist. So I'm going to tell the protagonist and antagonist what the struggle is, and they'll act it out. The audience will then get involved. If you see a better way for the protagonist to respond, you yell stop, you walk on stage, and you take the protagonist's spot, and you do what you think that they should do in order to respond to the antagonist. So it's kind of like the improvisation game where you come in and you change the story. You're changing the actions of the protagonist, and you're showing what someone should do if they're being antagonized. So,
But the whole audience doesn't know what you're telling them.
yeah, but you will know. Okay. All right.
Okay. It's so hard for me to talk. Yo. Just kidding. Get it. Now.
Are we talking?
Yes.
Oh.
We're not talking. I'm telling. Lunch money now.
You guys can yell stop at any time.
Now. Not waiting around for you.
Stop.
If you're taking her, I'll take your lunch.
Give me your money now! What do you think the protagonist should do? Sorry. What do you think the protagonist should do? What should have done? Like, what is she doing wrong in this situation? Does anyone have any? Okay, so I want you to yell stop. Yes, you're supposed to switch with the
Oh, okay, so I'm going to stay in.
Yes, you're supposed to say it. Okay,
Now.
so Julia, you're the protagonist. Show us what you did. I have to eat.
Wow, I'm going to do it hard.
Julia, stick with it.
Okay, come on, show us what you should do.
Yeah, what should you do, Julia?
Help! Help! Okay. Alright, guys. Have a seat. Thank you. Okay. So, alright, guys, settle down. Girls, settle down for a second. Okay, so what this shows, first of all, Julia taking the place of the protagonist, she realizes how hard it is when you are in a situation like that. Like, what are you supposed to do when you're being oppressed? And so that kind of sheds light on sometimes there aren't that many options, and you do need the help. But if we have someone who was more seasoned in those types of experiences and was able to kind of show, this is what you should do if this happens to you, this is a better course of action, then someone could benefit. The person who's been in a similar situation can benefit from that. So, what do you guys think? Did Julia, the second protagonist, do anything that was better than what the first protagonist did?
Which I did not.
Yes.
Do that.
Well, I think that the first protagonist, her response was to be quiet and to take in the pain, and I thought the second protagonist, her response was to try to get help and try to avoid it. And I think another response could be fighting back.
Yeah, that was very good. So you can come up with different angles, especially if you have several people who decide that they want to take the place of the protagonist. You can come up with different solutions to a problem.
I could have pushed Evan back.
Get
out my
exactly.
way.
You could have come up with a more aggressive stance or a more peaceful stance, a more negotiative stance, and that all can be decided discovered through Theater of the Oppressed. And now for protagonist number 2, what was it like to be placed in the situation of someone else, to see how that felt after seeing it done to someone else?
It's hard.
It was hard?
You have to decide what to do and you have to think quickly.
Yes. And that's very good. And so you realize how another person is feeling when they're being oppressed. So how does this benefit the oppressed? Like, how can this method of theater be used to help some situation in society? Yes?
I guess it can really highlight what oppression is around.
Right.
And it can also like model like proper ways to deal with it.
Yeah. So you can apply this to anything. Racism, bullying, any issue that's going on in your own community. Do you have a question? Or a comment?
It's easier to come up with a solution to one of your own problems if you can look at it subjectively.
Yeah. That's a very good point. Okay. And how does this give them a voice? Like, if you're able to show this, how can this give someone a voice? Because that's the point of Theater of the Oppressed. How does this give the oppressed a voice?
Yell for help.
You yell, I guess. It's because...
Sorry, kidding.
Yes?
It allows the oppressors to almost put themselves in the oppressed shoes. So people who've never felt like in that situation, in a safe format, they can feel what someone who is oppressed feels.
Exactly. So you give them a voice so people know how they're feeling, know what it's like to be in their shoes. Because often, when you see someone in a tough situation, you don't know exactly how they feel, and it's sometimes hard to empathize, but this helps you empathize with them. Okay, so through these workshops, what's your overall view of Theater of the Oppressed? What's the point? Yes?
The point is the message, and the point is to actively involve the audience into society's problems.
Okay, that's really good. And Theater of the Oppressed is constantly changing. Can you think of another way to sort of give a voice to the oppressed through theater? Like, if you could go home right now and come up with a new version of Theater of the Oppressed, what could you think of any other way to sort of give that voice to people? No? Think about it. Think about it, yes?
No, never mind. You said think about it.
Well, no, you can tell me now. That would be great.
Okay. Well, you could perform a scene in public,
Yeah.
and you could, the actors know what's going on, and you could try to feel out the reactions of the public to see what the public mindset is on the problem.
Great. That's a great idea. Okay, so which specific issues do you think are going on in your society right now? Which groups could really utilize something like Theater of the Oppressed to better their situations? It's a good question, right? Think about that tonight, too. Yeah?
The senior class of illumination.
Yeah, you can use it for that, even something like that, yeah?
Schools that are having problems with bullies.
Yes, that's a huge issue, and like a lot of people don't experience that, but being able to experience what that's like would probably benefit the schools. So thank you for coming to my theater workshop. I hope you will go away with the knowledge that theater can be used as more than just a form of entertainment, but a voice for the people